Hello. We seem to have an issue with the text-to-speech. Just give me 1 second. And it's not working for me. Alright. I can't hear shit. Okay. This is weird. Alright. Anywho. Back at it. I'm sorry, Frankles. You left the ball over there, so I can't play right now. Give me 1 moment. I gotta pause again. Alright. Off to a rougher than wanted start. Okay, looks like that's working there. Looks like we're up on YouTube. Alright. Making sure there's no other technical difficulties. I'll go with this one. What? No, you left it over there. Hey, model student. Sorry I didn't see you there. Text-to-speech is not currently working, apparently. Wow, everything got fucking shut off. Give me a second. Holy shit. Wow. No worries. Try typing something now. That should have worked. I don't know what's going on. Apparently Caster Labs had an aneurysm or an update. You don't have to watch quietly, you can still talk. It's just easier when I'm painting and stuff that I don't have to keep looking up every 5 seconds to see who's typed. It's my text-to-speech, and I want it now! Just making sure I've got all the controls visible because it's being weird. They are. Whoa, hold on. I messed something else up. I love it when stuff like this happens. Yeah, it's called Augmented Beauty, one of the first figures released by Ritual Design. I still have to finish her arm and her hand and do more on the face and skin. Unfortunately, the size of the image doesn't help. She's also got freckles. Are you enjoying the Viper build? When I built it, that thing just fell together. When I did it, I decided to not use the Hellfires. I felt they were too soft and didn't really look as good as the rest of the model, so that's why I used the rocket pods I did. The Sidewinders are okay. They're the ones on the wingtips. No, I get that. We each have to adult sometime. We all got to adult sometime, Red. No, wait, no, that's not how that goes. Maybe the text-to-speech doesn't work because I've got to restart the stream. I don't know. I could try blipping it, see what it does. Hey, Ronald McDonald. Well, that's the funny thing about the A10. Is it capable of carrying all those weapons? Yes. Would it carry them all at the same time? No. It looks cool fully loaded like that, but it's actually not quite right. Well, that link goes to the donation site for Stream Elements that is linked to my PayPal. That's the best I can do for you. I'm not going to give my PayPal address straight out, I'm afraid. Too much weirdness in the world for that. But that should work, so... Yeah, if you go to my channel page, and you'll see my name with the picture with the chick with the big wrench on her shoulders, there's 3 links there. You should be able to click the third one, and it should take you straight to it. I don't see why you would have to log into anything. There's a button for PayPal right there. I know. The only thing I can do to get it to work is blip the stream, which would shut it off and turn it back on as a new stream. I don't know if that would work. I might have to completely restart OBS at this point. And I really don't feel like doing that. Hey, Aries. Yeah, we're having difficulty. The text-to-speech lady doesn't want to work today. It looks like Caster Labs did a update, and I've got to work that back out. I'm okay. Tired, but okay. We're slathering the Bradley right now. And once the slatherings are done, while it dries, we'll tinker on the Chieftain a little bit. And Frankie's yelling at me to toss his ball. Where is it? What? Huh? Boing! I swear I have the strangest cat. But as far as I know, you shouldn't have to log into Stream Elements in order to donate on the donation page. Ball! Ball! Play! Play, 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 play! Okay, you've got Athena. Now, the next dog you get better be a boy, and you better name it Hilo. Two fish, Oscar and Dela. We've gotten rid of our fish tanks. We used to have quite a few fish. I have more than enough cats. You've seen them periodically on the stream. Especially this little nugget down here. All he wants to do is play fetch. That's it. I don't plan on getting any more pets until well after we move. We kind of want to let our amount of pets go down quite a bit before we engage in the collection of more. I know, Frank, you want to play. I'm in the middle of something. Keeps headbutting my leg. I have a feeling moving with the ones we've got will be okay. I hope Arnie will be passed on by the time we get to that point. I was cleaning off the workbench today, getting ready for this, and I realized I hadn't put the outer return rollers on the Chieftain. Then I looked and I'm like, well, you're not going to know anyway because you can't see where they go. Oh well. I really don't know if I'm going to put any... I might put a little light dirt up in there just for texture. But I'm going to keep this one mostly clean. Right now we're just plucking details. Most of the rabbits I've known were nasty little fuckers when you tried to hold them. They do that whole thing where they lash out with their front feet. But they were also scary albino rabbits with the red eyes. Oh, jeez. What? What? Where is it? I can't throw it if you don't bring it. You didn't bring it. I can't throw it. Yeah, no, I'm good. Knowing my luck, Frankie would eat her. Now, while that dries on the Bradley, we're going to do a little trick that I've been working on. Using a shitty paint, but for good purpose. So, since I know that Mission Models loves to... Come here. Kind of loves to reactivate, right? So we went and put some basic tones on the Chieftain already. You can kind of see the difference between the top and the sides of the hull. And the front and the back. Now we're going to dust it. Alright, have a good night. And by that, we're going to take some of this stuff. I can't believe I paid that much for this shit. Anyway. We're going to take some of this stuff. We're going to thin it way wide down. That just doesn't sound the same, does it? So you don't need a lot of it. And a couple squirts of the thinner of your choice, in our case Windex. Because the way this stuff likes to act, once you mist it on, you can go back with a damp brush and actually remove, or no, I don't want to say remove, but move a lot of it into a convincing streakiness. And you just want to kind of really ghost it on there. You don't want to repaint the whole model, but you can kind of see how it's building up on the lower edge there. That's fine. That's where a lot of it's going to accumulate. But also, don't be afraid to go a little higher up. And don't worry about the speckles either. This is what I did on the 432. And that turned out really effectively. Be sure you get it up on your tracks. Now the tracks, I started by toning them with flat earth. Then I added the European dust, or the European earth texture to the road wheels. And don't be afraid to bring it up onto the hull. And be sure you get it in those road wheels. Could you do this before you install the skirts? Yes. But you don't necessarily have to. Be sure you get it on the mud guards. And then really lightly give the front some of it. And you can be a little more aggressive with it on the back. Because as the vehicles drive, the dust plume gets sucked back in behind them and begins to coat the back of the vehicle. Giving the tracks a good coating. Now it probably looks like I just went and ruined the model. Maybe I did. I don't know. That's the fun part about this. Kind of scary. Seagull shit. Nah, I just shook the airbrush too much. And if you check your refs, you'll see there's tons of pictures of these things just absolutely caked in dust and dirt, so might seem like a bit much. You'll see. Trust the process. So there's our initial dust coating. Let me make sure the lower hull looks uniform side to side. A little more. There. And there. Clean out the airbrush and then we'll start working the magic. Making sure Frankie's not underfoot. I might need to move my chair. Yeah, he's good. Well, that's the furthest I've been able to move my neck all fucking day. Ever since Sunday, I've had a case of Batman neck. Not fun. Just tweaked it in my sleep Saturday night. And that's part of what was hitting me Sunday during the stream. I could not move my head easily. And it just kept getting worse and worse. Okay, let's select our brush for cleaning off. You don't want one that's too big to start with. Let's try this one. So I'm just going to pick a point, and we'll start brushing downward with a damp brush. And you may have to go over it a few times just to get the right amount of streakiness and the right amount removed. Cleaning your brush periodically in between, because it is picking up paint from the model. But you don't want to clean it all the way off. You see how it's kind of building up on the bottom there? Kind of like dirty rainwater running down the side. And then just depositing all the dirt on the edge. Now this is an older trick. Some people have been doing it with Tamiya paints for a good while. But you can see how that's starting to work. It'll dry flat too. Come on, autofocus. Don't be like this today. There we go. Let's try a bigger brush. Next size up. But I find that Tamiya paints can also dry a little too hard, even if you do the same thing, resulting in a much more chalky looking finish. There's a Frankie hair there. I find it works better than the other company's so-called rain and streak effects. It's a lot easier to work with, and it's more removable than whatever materials it is that they use. Yeah, you can see how that's starting to work, though. And if it's still too strong, like back here's a little strong, you can go back and just keep doing it until you get it how you like it. Let's get a smaller brush going here. I'm just trying to dampen it right now. And this, used in conjunction with this kind of stuff, really gives it that, you know, dusty, rain-washed effect, I think. And we'll go back to these fuel caps with some of the streaking grime and make sure it looks like there's like spilled diesel around them. But as with any new technique, if you've never used it before, test it out first. I tested this on a couple models, and Didn't mess up, but there was trial and error. So you see how that's gone back there? Still a little heavy on the streak, so I'm going to go over it one more time and see if I can bring some more of them just a hair down. And this brush is very lightly damp. Almost too dry, actually. There we go. There we go. And let the bristles do this as you're doing it. That's what gives it the streaks. Kind of like when I was applying the varnish to do the wet effect. Let's kind of just go back and forth across here. There we go. So yeah, we can take this side and then compare it to that side, which is just freshly dusted. If autofocus worked. Let me... And we're going to lock our focal depth here. Damn it. Give me a sec. There we go. All right. Now on the Chieftain, you see this kind of gutter that goes around here? On a lot of pictures of ones that you see in like private collections or outside, there's always water built up right here. That little square right there, there's actually a hole in it that goes to the other side for drainage. It's because it gets plugged up. But the thing I like about this is even the parts that I lightly dusted will still come a little cleaner. And you'll have that very subtle streaking effect on them once you get them cleaned up. We're probably going to come back with some other stuff and really dirty up this area here. Just like on the M60, when you're climbing on, you're only climbing on from the front, where the driver can see you. Can you climb on from other places? Yeah. General rule of thumb, though, is climb on from the front. Remember what I said about the speckles that came out? They scrub right off. They'll all but disappear now. It's trying to. Oh yeah, those vents, they're actually pretty easy. A little time consuming, but they were easy once you got the hang of it. And remember, don't fill the seam on the ball. Clean it up, you can sand it. Maybe rescribe it so it's more even, but the join between the two ball halves is actually there. Hey Sniper, how you doing? But I really can't wait to start digging into that 16 scale Puma, though. I'm actually holding back, because I want to finish this and the Bradley. I want to get these two based and finished. Let's try a square. Might have to go back to the other side and reblend. That's cool. I take it from your screen name you do the Confederate States. Do some Confederate Gray history reenactment. I almost thought I lost that. Oh, Union Blue and Confederate Gray? Let's let that side dry. We're going to revisit this side. Actually, we're going to do the front. This square might be, well, I think that's saturated too. Might be holding a little too much water. And I know the tank isn't the right number plate, but part of me really wants to put the name K-E-R-O, Kiro, on the front mud flap there. Just as a little nod to the real chieftain that was used in Reign of Fire. It was actually a Mark 10 made up to look like a Mark 11. Oh, nice. Well, stay hydrated. It's supposed to be a hot one this year. The weather's been doing some funky stuff. We had another tornado about 2 hours south of me on I think it was Sunday. They're not rare here, but they are uncommon. That's cool. So do you do like actual on-the-spot smithing? Remember I went to Mystic Seaport with my father. God, this is a long time ago. And it's a full-service seaport to support the whaling vessels and the older wooden ships that are there. And the morning we went to leave to go to our next destination, we went back, got some hot chocolate, and stood in the blacksmith shop while he's forging parts for the ships, and just drank our hot chocolate, staying warm by the fire, watching him work. Tell me that ain't a fucking core memory. So I'm just trying to even out the distribution of the streaking a little bit more. Might have to switch back to the round brush. It's looking dusty, but not overwhelmingly so. Like I said, you want it concentrated more in the back anyway. I just don't like just how streaky that is in some areas. Well, model student, might I suggest a trip down the eastern seaboard? We did it in November, which is why it was so memorable. Because it was cold. It wasn't snowing yet, but it was fucking cold. But there's Mystic Seaport, the Nautilus Museum. That's for the first nuclear submarine. Cool thing there is they've actually got a giant ring outside that shows the average circumference of the, at the time, we're talking 1990 here, 91, 92, the circumference of a modern nuclear submarine, the hull. But they've got some actual whaling vessels there. I think the Charles Morgan still lives there. That's if that, you know, nautical history interests anybody. Okay. But yeah. But you can kind of see how it's just ever so subtly in there. Which is a good base layer. Because we're going to work into it with this stuff too. That'll make it a bit richer. Well, there you go. And there's some really good hobby shops, or there were some good hobby shops in the area. I don't know if they're still there now. I was a teenager when we made the trip. In the dead of November, in a drafty, leaky... Oh yeah. Well, Iowa itself doesn't have a lot of history when it comes to that. I mean, it's good that there's organizations out there that do that kind of thing. But the interest just isn't there because it's not part of the local history, you know? Not in the way that, like... what was it, Texas? Southern Texas? I can't remember if it was Texas or New Mexico. But they had Lieutenant Patton chasing Pancho Villa at the time. No, that was World War I. Never mind. I'm wrong. You get what I'm saying, though. Even Utah doesn't have a lot of history for that. And people don't realize how close together a lot of that period is. Um, when did the gunfight at the OK Corral take place? And you'll see how this kind of works together. So if somebody could Google that real quick just to give me the info. Because I'm using that as a event that everybody kind of understands in terms of chronology. I Google it, but I'm kind of busy. 1881? Okay. So Wyatt Earp was already a decently aged person at that time. He wasn't young, but he wasn't old. Right? So take that as your benchmark. Because people think, oh, that's a fucking long time ago. Which, by our standard it is. It's more than a century. Wyatt Earp was alive when a young Lieutenant Patton was chasing Pancho Villa through the desert during World War I, during the same time period. I'm not saying there's not history there, but not the kind where you would expect to see, Civil War reenactment, that kind of stuff. And I'm sure there's probably garrisons there that had their own parts to play. But, it's not Antietam. It's not Virginia. It's not Georgia. It's not Alabama. You can't go sit on the riverside where the ironclads first fought. So it's just more difficult to get a general, interest in it in the local populations. I gotta turn my heater on. My legs are starting to cramp from the coolness. Ow. Oh, yeah. But even, where I grew up, it's so far south, Georgia's north. But at the same time, you don't see a lot of people really giving a damn about the Civil War era, or even the Colonial War era for that matter. Yet we know events happened in that area. Oh, where's the... Hold on a sec. Yeah. So I know you can also like go to Cape Hatteras um, and see the turret of the Monitor. They raised it and they're preserving it. I don't know if they're done with it, but they're still in the process of pickling it to prevent corrosion. And I think the Cairo is still on public display. I don't know if they've recovered anything from the Virginia of any note, i.e. the Merrimack. I haven't really looked into it that much. Then you've also got, again in that area, you could literally take a week and just drive around the, let's say, the Carolina to Boston area, you know? It doesn't take as long as you think to drive it, but you've got the battleship North Carolina. I know, Warduck, he lives near there. That's a great ship. I don't like what that's doing. Yeah, when I was up that way, they hadn't yet raised the turret of the Monitor. I would have liked to have seen it too. Are they done pickling the Hunley yet? That's another one that they raised up that they've been doing a lot of preservation work on. And Model Student is done with his pizza pie vents. And I don't know if you guys okay, so it is still on display. Good. Shame how they ripped it apart taking it out of the river. But, I'm going to have to get some music going here. Just give me 1 second. I'm going to have to figure a way to chip this up, too, without having to redo a lot of this. Yeah, most of it will be hidden under dirt anyway. But I know if you get up to... Was it Boston? Hold on a sec. I think I'm getting my ships backwards. So yeah, the Constitution's in the Boston Naval Yard. However, Her sister ship is still afloat as well. And she's in Baltimore. So, yeah. And my wife doesn't want to move back to the East Coast. The canopy is easy. Take it one bit at a time. Do not install it until after you're done painting. It's easier to hand paint the frame than it is to try and put it on and paint it. I know this from experience. It's easier to mask off that cockpit with it open than it is to try and finagle around the canopy. Trust me. Can you post a link to the picture you were going to use again? I want to look at it and see something. If you're lucky, you might be able to get away with just painting it all one color. But knowing what I think, they're going to have all three colors on that thing. And another ship that was worth seeing, I don't know if she's still open to the public. This is also in Philadelphia. The Olympia. She's one of our oldest steel-hulled ships still in existence. I know this dusting effect isn't very exciting, but trust me, it all builds up in the end. Yeah, just take your time. It does have masks provided. My kit came with painting masks. Did yours? And I found it came in handy when just airbrushing the frame. But basically I masked off the inside. Used the masking templates on the outside. Painted it black and then painted it the gray color, so that way you'd have the black frame on the inside showing. Okay, I think that's about as dusty as we're gonna get here with this method. You just got to take your time and be very careful in installing them. And maybe even run some liquid masking agent over the seams of the parts of the masks. Okay, now that's done, we can go back to the Bradley and start removing wash. Since we used oils. Get some Q-tips. And that's exactly what I did, Model Student. I installed them, I totally masked off the inside face so there's no bleed under. And then did it that way. I don't remember if I painted my... I don't think I did. I think I was just on a roll and just ran for it. I can't remember. Don't remember if I painted on stream. Actually, I think I did because I didn't like how my light and dark ghost grays were working together. I remember commenting on that. But which one was it that had... So, back on the subject of the Constellation and the Olympia, one of them has a submarine with it as part of the museum. The Olympia has one. But I want to say the Constellation does too. And not the aircraft carrier. Yeah, we don't want a YouTube video. I just want some pictures. No, apparently the Constellation does not. It was a bit longer than... Yeah, total was about 4 days. There really wasn't a lot to it that required, you know, really complicated stuff. I wish I knew about that paint scheme. I might have tried it, because I think you can almost get away with it with the decals in the kit. It uses one of those airframes. I'm not sure, though. But I might be persuaded to start the Puma early, but I really want to get these two finished. The bases aren't going to be anything special. I think they're just going to be... At least this one's going to be open grassy. I don't know about the Bradley. Yes, Dad. I'll finish it first. Sorry. Oh, the same could be said for you and your monstrous diorama. How's that coming along? Huh? All I'm hearing is crickets from the peanut gallery now. Or did you buy the Shep Payne book and get some ideas on how to refine it a bit more? To be fair, though, it does seem like that diorama is taking a bit more effort than you figured it would. What, Frankles? What do you want, buddy? I really think the Helix would be better suited for that. That hind is just massively overpowering. And you don't see a counter-rotating helicopter much these days. I need more thinner. What, Frankie? Where'd you put your ball? And I don't mean the ones we got cut off of you years ago. Huh? Where's your ball? Where's your poof? I don't see the poof. No poof, no play. You hear him whining over here? Just meow, meow. Hi. Yeah, good boy. Is your cat too big that he moves you when he headbutts you a little bit? No. Forgot he likes to play with Q-tips. I left the container open. Nope. Over playful Frankies don't get Q-tips. That's dangerous. That's a choking hazard for a kitty cat. Get your poof and we'll play. I don't know what he did with it. He was playing with it. I threw it and he never brought it back. Well? Oh, I've got to remake one of the handles. When did that fall off? Oh well. That won't be too hard to do. And I knew that was going to happen. The least expensive 35th scale helicopter I have is the Revell Germany Alouette 3. Looks like it'll be a fun kit. And maybe I should just kind of take a breather and maybe just throw that together. Or save it and kind of use it to get my energy back up for doing my hind. Because we all know what's really going on. I'm waiting until somebody copies the Edward decal sheet and scales it up to 35th scale. That way I don't have to paint the damn thing. Ares Studios' computer must have gone into standby. That or the nap trap got him. Can't blame him if he's half as tired as I am. He's got to be exhausted. I stay awake out of spite. And as far as like computer entertainment stuff, if you're looking for something interesting to do, you've heard me talk about the VR OV program where you can tour the digital recreation of the Titanic done by Magellan. Well, they've recently completed an expedition to the Bismarck, and they're going to be putting that as their next addition to the VROV program. You can get that on Steam. And the Alien Isolation sequel has officially dropped its teaser. And it looks like this time it's going to be on a colony. While I think being on Hadley's Hope in the events leading up to Aliens would be a bit of a stretch, because not everything has to be related to the Sigourney Weaver movies in that regard. It would be neat if they made a DLC where you could play through the collapse of the LV-426 colony on top of the whatever story they make. God, nose is tickly. Now that's done, we're going to let that outgas overnight, and we're going to get back on the Chieftain, because while it looks dusty now, it doesn't look dirty. Actually, I'm going to start out with European Earth. Kind of lay out where I want to go with it, and then we can go back and add the more dusty. Who doesn't? Or in the, in the words of Bill Murray, who wouldn't? You know? I'm trying to remember kind of how I did this on the M60. Because I remember doing a lot of dirt on the hull, but I'm trying to remember exactly what I did without it looking overpowering. From like the crew stepping on it and stuff. Shall we take a minute and revisit the M60 so I can look at it and try and remember what the hell I did? I need to take a move around break anyway. Let me take a quick move around break. Grab the M60 so I can kind of look at it. Oh yeah? Show him Helen Mirren. Today versus, oh, I don't know, Excalibur. Be right back. Yeah, sadly, Maureen O'Hara is no longer with us. She passed a few years back. Now I'm using European Earth first because it's got a warmer tone. Then when I go back in with the dustier colors, it'll actually kind of reactivate them and mix in and just make it look a little bit. It'll make it look dusty without being chalky. I think I overdid it on the engine deck here, so. It feels like it anyway. I don't really think it is overdone, but Maybe I just need to look at some other pictures and remind myself. Yeah, it's not overdone. Yeah, nowhere near overdone. I will be putting some obligatory camo netting on it, though. Let me know when you're back, model student. We're probably going to have to add a little more dirt and dust effect in there. I know. So I will see your Maureen O'Hara and raise you a Sophia Loren and a Tommy Era and Margaret. Hmm. Almost. I think Sophia Loren still got 2 up on her, though. Oh, did I say that out loud? That's what I like about these wash effects, is you can go back. If you let it sit overnight, you're kind of hard to do it. But if you're still tinkering on it, you can use a wet brush, kind of blend them a little bit. And I remember what I did for the M60 for like the mud from the crew walking on it. And that was, I basically thinned out the European earth and just basically lightly stamped it on there, and I let the texture chunks in it do the work. Since this was more wet, I didn't go for a dusty look on it. But you can see right up through here how it has that washed off mud look. I want to try something here. Yeah, because I still feel like I got it a little too dusty back here. And yeah, it does build up, but it just feels a little too much. I want to see if the Q-tip will be a bit more abrasive and take some more off, which it looks like it is doing. It won't remove it all, which I don't want to do. Just feels a little too chalky overall. I think I overdid it. Which, honestly, if this was like in the Norfolk area, Thetford, Norwich, that area, there's a lot of chalk in that soil. It wouldn't be totally wrong. But from an artsy-fartsy model building perspective, it kind of kills the color of the model. I'm also thinking ahead to the colors I'm going to use for my earth base for the vehicle, and I want them to match up. I've used it from the spray can. It's alright. I've airbrushed 500. Had to thin the hell out of it, but I airbrushed it. And the number just denotes how fine the grain of the pigment is. It was smooth enough. I was happy with it. Oh, it's lacquer. Yeah. There's no IPA thin in that. That's lacquer. Why would you want to use a pale ale to thin your paint anyway? Oh, you meant isopropyl alcohol, sorry. Very. I warned you, but no, you didn't listen. Alright. But with this, it's been 2 hours, which is good for a weekday stream. I know Sundays was short. I would like to make up for that, but that's not going to be today. I would leave it bare plastic. Go in with the pre-shade with your black paint. And if you're using Vallejo Light Ghost Gray, that is already a primer. And just base coat with that, doing all of your panels and fuselage. And then you'll be able to lay in the NATO green and NATO black. That way you're not having to fight over a layer of black paint, using up more than you need to. But yep, I'll be on today, obviously, and I want to try and be on tomorrow too. So, but that's where we are so far. It's starting to look grimy. We'll start working in more of this stuff as I go along. I'm just taking it a little bit at a time. I want to let the European earth dry fully. It tends to dry a lot lighter than how it looks when it goes on. And then, yeah, we'll either come back to this tomorrow or Thursday. Don't know which. But yeah, we'll be back. and I will see you all later.